Nebraska Republican Senator Ben Sasse, the latest target of WikiLeaks. Sasse sending out a series of tweets yesterday evening saying this: "I've been critical of Assange and WikiLeaks this week, so, big surprise, I'm having multiple password reset attempts right now. So if you see crazy tweets from me tonight, don't assume heavy booze, hashtag." Sasse fired off a letter to Attorney General Jeff Sessions last week asking whether the Justice Department was aggressively trying to arrest and prosecute WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. The CIA and FBI are investigating that massive document dump from WikiLeaks, which claims to have uncovered the CIA's secret hacking methods, some of which include listening in on people's smart televisions, even if they're turned off. And that brings us to our third pulse question for you this hour. Agree or disagree? Americans should be willing to give up some personal privacy for national security. All right, I want to bring in former CIA military analyst Tara Maller. Tara is a spokesperson for the Extremism project. We're also joined by Wired magazine editor Brian Barrett. Tara, I'll start with you on this. Surprising about what you're hearing so far, what you're seeing in the investigation. When we look at it, some are asking how difficult will it be to find out who's responsible for releasing this secret information?
It is surprising how much information was dumped in this last leak. This is an unprecedented amount of information. CIA has not confirmed or denied the authenticity of all of the documents, but the fact is there's an investigation underway. They're going to be looking at whether this came from an insider, whether it came from somebody within the intelligence community, whether it came from a contractor working with the intelligence community, and whether or not there was any foreign involvement in this particular breach. And I think you will see investigators hone in on a group of individuals or an individual. It'll just take some time. These things, take time to go through computers and talk to people and interview them, which is happening this week.
It's early on, Tara, but do you have a thought, a hypothesis about how this happened, a disaffected insider? Where do you think investigators are going to be going? What sorts of questions they'll be asking here?
It seems press reports today indicate that they have honed in on it being potentially someone on the inside who had access to this information and access to these documents. Whether or not that was self-motivated, somebody who was trying to assist WikiLeaks, or whether or not that was with the involvement of foreign intelligence officers, whether from Russia or elsewhere, that remains to be seen. We know WikiLeaks has had ties to the Russians in the past. It wouldn't surprise me if there was a foreign hand in some of this, but again, it doesn't necessarily have to be with help from a foreign country. It could be somebody disgruntled within the intelligence community itself.
And Brian, this has been now, at least the last couple of months, the age of leaks. And this, as we were talking about what was leaked in this particular situation, is this tactic allegedly by the CIA that we are hearing. You're out with a new article today. It says the easiest way to protect your devices from hacks: keep them updated. And you say, for the most part, this isn't a hard or complicated process. What are some of the steps that one can take if they're concerned about this approach that the CIA uses, and that's, again, accessing our personal consumer electronics?
Well, there's some good news first, which is that there's nothing in the documents that says that the CIA is actively targeting American citizens. And these are also really hard hacks to pull off that they've got. They require a lot of resources. But the bad news is, if the CIA can do it, other people might too. So the most important thing you can do, as soon as companies find out about these hacks, which WikiLeaks says they're now going to share technical details, they can push out patches to their customers. Those are just software updates. Every time your phone tells you to go ahead and update, that comes with some security improvements as well as new features. The other thing you can do is think about the amount of devices in your home that connect to the internet. Even if they're not being hacked in a way that exposes your personal information, they leave an entry point for someone to come in, potentially conscript them to a botnet, which is a whole other thing that you have to worry about these days. Basically just consider, do I really to connect to the internet? And if not, maybe go ahead and turn off that Wi-Fi or just buy the non-smart version of that device.
Brian, another question the folks are asking: should I just stop using my devices? Should I be worried about programs such as WhatsApp, WeChat, and other chat programs that are out there? And the first thing that comes to mind is end-to-end encryption.
Yeah, so you absolutely should not worry about end-to-end encryption, and that's something that got a little bit confused through this process. If anything, what the document showed is that end-to-end encryption used by apps like Signal and WhatsApp is secure. The CIA can't break that encryption protocol yet, as far as we can tell, as far as the documents say. What they can do is compromise an entire device, and at that point, once the CIA is in your iPhone or in your Android phone, you've got bigger concerns. But again, the good news there is the CIA is not targeting your iPhone, and if someone else were to try to target your iPhone or Android phone, alone, you would have to be someone who is a very high value target for that to happen. Those attacks cost millions of dollars, take a lot of resources to work. So you should keep your faith in those end-to-end encrypted chat apps for now, because there's nothing that says that they're not safe based on this report.
And Tara, the criticism, though, will be here. The groups that have a lot of money, that do have a lot of hands to do this, that is the government, for those who are critical of this, and they'll say, well, if they can do it, they may be looking at what I'm doing right now.
There was nothing in any of the documents that suggests that to be the case. The real problem here, in my opinion, is that we have given our information now. This release gives information to our adversaries, to our enemies. This information that has been released can affect counterintelligence operations against terrorist groups, counterterrorism operations, where our intelligence agents and the community rely on expertise in the cyber realm in order to be able to know what's going on with criminal groups overseas, terrorist organizations. And anytime a massive amount of information that is of high classification is leaked to the public, the individuals leaking it might have their own reasons for doing so, but they don't really necessarily know all reaching implications that this has on individuals and operations around the globe. And whoever was responsible for this at the end of this investigation is going to face punishment, as they should.
Tara Maller, thank you so much. Brian Baird as well. Appreciate both.